and welcome to another Paper Crafting Tuesday. Today I'm making a card with a few embellishments that are actually black. So we're talking Prima flowers as well as chalkboard tape. I'm starting with the background, and I have a piece of mixed media cardstock that measures 4 by 5 1/4, and I have this beautiful stencil by KZ Art. It is number TT27 and it is called Pochoir Floral. I'm going to glue this piece down on my mat with some removable adhesive, just so it doesn't flip out on me. And I will take some tape and tape that down as well. I don't usually do that when I art journal, but this is a card and it's a small piece, so it's going to move. Alright, now this is secured. Then I'm going to use 3 colors of Dina Wakley's wonderful heavy body acrylic paints, and I have blackberry violet, turquoise, and lime. And I'm going to take a spouncer for this. I'm just going to put a bit on my mat. That's actually quite too much, because when you stencil with paint, you don't need a lot of paint. You can actually stamp off, and then gently I'm going to tap that in. I love those bold colors. Dina's paints are absolutely awesome. The colors are so vivid, and I love the patchiness of using paint over a stencil. If I had wanted to have something precise, I would have opted to spray, maybe dilutions or even a paint spray, but I really wanted that patchy look. So now I'm going to set this aside to dry, and I'll be working on the black flower. I have some Prima flowers here, and they are black. There are 2 different sets of flowers. There's a pack with 3 and a pack with 2 bigger ones, and there's also a set with leaves. So there's 15 leaves in this pack. These are great because you can use pretty much anything on them. You can alter them with colored pencils, wax crayons, gelatos, basically anything that will give it an opaque look you can use on that. But when I think of black, I think of iridescence, because one good way of getting your full mileage about anything that's iridescent is to pair it with something that's black, a black surface. So these are ideal with the silk's iridescence. So I'm going to be using a combination of the blue and the green, and I'll be using this flower and a couple of leaves, and I will also probably use a Stabilo pencil to add in some highlights. Before I start on the flower, I'm going to outline the leaves with the Stabilo, and I'm just going to do one line in the middle and some veins. And as you can see, it is very easy. This is pretty cool. I'm going to do the other one. And in the pack of leaves, there are actually 3 sizes. I have the small and the medium. There's also a larger one, and I will show you later on what I did with the other ones. Okay, so I've outlined the leaves. The flower I'm not going to outline, I'm just going to paint it. So I've zoomed in a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to start by layering the green, and look at how it comes out. It is so vibrant against that dark background. Love that. The cool thing about this is that you can actually see both colors underneath that in the layer at the bottom. Now, just to show you what difference it makes if you add iridescence to the white. As you can see, nothing happens. There is a bit of a shine to it, but that's about it. So I'm going to add a different color in the middle once everything is dry. I'm not sure exactly what color I'm going to add, but I will put this aside and I will let that dry. Now for the leaves, I'm going to do one side green, one side blue, and then I'll probably walk in one of the color into the other side. Alright, so I have made a boo-boo here. As you can see, when I was painting over the flower, it didn't dawn on me that the Stabilo is actually water soluble. So obviously if I put something wet over that, it will dissolve. It's kind of a cool look because you can see some of the marks that I've done, but that is not the look that I was going for. So it is best to use a colored pencil. I have here the Prismacolor. You can use any brand. And just to show you how nicely it still works on this black background. I love that. And this should not move when I apply the wet medium. So let's see here. I'm going to start with the green. Yeah, see, this doesn't move, so this is perfect. So if you're going to be layering a wet media over this, do not use the Stabilo because it is water soluble. And I should have thought about that before, but you learn from your experiences. So I'm just layering blue and green on top of each other, and it's a lot of fun. Like you can in the fall, you could do like a fall layout or a card or a piece, and you could layer some copper, gold, reds, oranges, and they will have all of these colors in there. So if you look at this piece, obviously this is still not dry, but I can see both the blue and the green, which is awesome. Now here's my other leaf that I made with the Stabilo pencil. I'm going to put this to the side. I'm going to do another medium-sized one, and be careful, sometimes they are attached together. I think there's 4 sizes actually, not just 3 but 4. So again, I'm going to use my color pencil. And I'm not pressing hard. This is all it takes. I'm going to dip in the iridescent green. I love the magic of the iridescence. That's the blue on the right, and I'm just going to walk it over to the other side. How cool is that? Okay, so my flower and the leaves are almost dry, but in the meantime I decided to work on the last embellishment of the card, and this is a Fancy Pants 1.5 inch scallop chalk tape, which comes in a roll like this. There's a backing sheet which makes it really nice to cut with, you can cut it with your scissors if you want to, but if you want to cut it with a cutting board like I have here, it is also very perfect. And also you could cut this in half if you feel that this is too large. You can just cut that in half and you would have another type of border, the straight edge on top and the scallop at the bottom. So this is pretty cool as well. Okay, so I'm back with my background piece and the scallop tape. What I'll do is I will remove the backing sheet and glue this towards the bottom of my card. Now I cut my piece a little bit larger than what I needed, and that is done on purpose because I like a straight edge, and sometimes when I cut with my paper trimmer I'm not always 100% precise, so that way I can really trim the edges and have something super straight. So I'm just going to grab my scissors and trim off the excess. Now you could use your X-Acto knife if you want for this. You can also use your paper trimmer. Before I actually write on my card, I've made a sort of a little swatch sheet here with the ribbon fully laid out, and I have a slew of media that I want to try here. First of all, I'm going to try my dry media. This is the Pitt pastel pen. So let's see how this takes to the tape. So this is the Pitt pastel. As you can see, it writes. Let me just zoom in here. This is definitely a chalk feel to the pencil, so it's perfect for that. Next I have the Stabilo, which also writes beautifully. Now always keep in mind that the Stabilo is water soluble, and this is my Prismacolor. And the Prismacolor has a lot of wax mixed in there, so it's a little bit more subtle. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you is if you're using the Pitt Pastel, the great thing is that you're actually able to erase this with a dry cloth because it is chalk and this is chalk tape. So if I go over that Pitt part, I can erase it. Now I'm going to move over to what I consider my wet media, which are paint pens. So the first one I'm going to try is the Montana, which is a water-based marker. No problem there whatsoever. Next is the Sharpie, water-based. Ooh, I like that. Sharpie water. And I also have here the oil-based Sharpie poster paint. I just wanted to see how that would react. Now the oil-based is a little bit tougher to mix. It's a different look, more subtle than the water-based. And this is the Posca paint marker. Ooh. Now the Posca, of course, I can't lie, it is one of my favorite, but a close second would be the Sharpie water-based pen, as well as the Montana. To keep in mind, the things that do not work on this chalk tape is the Uniball Signal white pen, as well as the Ink Essentials opaque white pen. That does not work. A gel pen, the clear star, I was able to kind of finesse it into it, but sort of, but not. You can see a faint drop here. Of course, anything that you call paint, like the wink of Stella would work on this, the wink of Luna's would work on this, gelatos do not work. Any paint, of course, will work, as well as the big brush pen does not work on this. So here's a cheat sheet, and I will have this hanging at the store so that you guys can view it at your leisure. So here's how the card will be laid out. I want to color the center of this flower. I think I'm going to use some lime paint. I could go in with a brush, but I have my fingers. I just want to touch up on the top of this. All right, that looks better. I'm going to start by gluing this piece down just because I want to write with Sharpie paint pen, and I know it takes a while for the paint to dry. So I'm just going to glue this down right now onto my card base, which as usual measures 4 1/4 by 11 that I folded in half at 5.5 inch mark. It's black cardstock. Okay, and I know my flower is going to sit right here. Let's see, let's put this back to where it was. So I have about this much space to write, so I know that I need to stop. I'm just going to do basic letters, kind of like tall-ish. And I'm just going to add a bit of serifs at the bottom of each, just to make them different. There we go. Love how that stands out against this dark background. Love it. Alright, so now I can glue my leaves and the flower over top. And there is our card. I absolutely love the way this turned out. I love the metal look that the flower has with the iridescent silks, and it's a good contrast against that bright and bold paint, kind of flat. There's no shimmer to that paint. I love the fact that I can use my own handwriting for the sentiment. This black chalkboard tape is the perfect background for this, and we do have different shapes and sizes of this tape, so I would encourage you to come on over, check them out for yourself, as well as the black flowers. And before I go, I just wanted to show you another cool technique that I've used on, this is the biggest leaf of the pack. And what I did is I took a little sponge dauber of this size and I dipped it in the lime paint, Dina's lime paint, and I created circles. How cool is that? This is another fun way to embellish these flowers. Again, as I said in the at the beginning, you can use any sorts of paint. You can use anything that writes on paper. Obviously, this is just the white Stabilo, which is another cool way. You don't have to paint it. You don't have to color these flowers. You can leave them black and white if you wish so. And this is another cool thing to do. So that is it for today. I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. I certainly like this little card. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Thank you for watching, and I will be back on Friday.